we was talking about E6s like being like in this time they was like the Celestials, man. We talk about like '07 through '09, '07 through 11 through 12. E6s were like whatever senior chiefs probably get looked at like nowadays, in my opinion. Right? They was like the Celestials, man. But where do you think we lost that at?
I'm gonna say around about that time. I
Mm-hmm.
say '07, '08 is probably where you stop seeing the first class really have that authority, have
Do
that
you
autonomy. You know what
do
I
you think
mean?
it's
Have
only because I'm sorry to cut you, but do you think it's only because we were making rank faster? Or it's
I think
more
they
than
had
that?
I don't think that there's no one single thing that did it. I think there's a combination of things, and I think that's one of the major things that did it. Guys were making rank faster. You were seeing guys who weren't necessarily as qualified as they should have been in their rating community. You hear this all the time, especially with first classes. You saw guys who were getting they were getting more attention, in the boards based on collateral duties and
Mhm,
awards and it wasn't about what they actually did for the guys. It wasn't about what they actually did for their divisions, departments, and work centers. It was more so about, who who looks the best. You know what I mean? Who can be politic the best. And
mhm.
so, and I tell people this in my opinion, and I don't want no Chiefs to think that I'm being funny about this. I seen somewhere on social media where somebody had posted and said, uh, "Is it me, or does it seem like Chiefs are doing more deck plate type work than what they used to back in the day?" And I thought about that. And I said to myself, well, yeah, I think that is an accurate assessment. You do see cheap, well, at least in my experience here in the past 6 or 7 years, I think you have been seeing Chiefs on the deck plates more increasingly, as to where 16 years ago when I first came in, you rarely ever saw the Chief. It was
Mhm.
really your first class you saw on the deck plates. And I had to think to myself, now, why is that? We were advancing so many first classes, the Chiefs, so fast before they even really had an opportunity to be battle tested in leadership in roles as work center supervisor, in roles as LPO. You see what I'm saying? And back to Damon's point, when you make chief, and please, I don't want nobody to think that I have an insight to what the Chiefs do because I'm not one. But as a first class, we sit so close to you guys that we can kind of see it. You know what I mean? So back to Damon's point, when you make chief, when the captain's asking you a question, you got to have an answer. When your chief engineer, your department head is asking you a question, you got to have an answer.
Mhm.
When you're first class, you still got to have an answer, but you have somebody there to help you find an answer before the big guys get it. And what I think is happening is these first classes have been pushed to chief so fast that, again, they hadn't been battle tested. You see what I'm saying? They hadn't been battle tested in leadership, and now they have to go back and actually be on the deck plates with us to make
Mhm.
sure they know what's going on, to make sure they got a good feel of what's happening with the guys. That way, when the captain asks them a question or the department head asks them a question, they not deer in the headlights. And going back to my comment earlier about the ranking thing, in terms of if I make chief, what I want to give back to the first class is their relationship. And I think the biggest disconnect is the relationship between the first class and the chief.
Man,
I
you
try to make sure
so you
where,
answering a question I was about to ask you. So go ahead. I just wanted you to know I was going to ask you that. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
go ahead. I'm
So,
listening.
my thing is, if the first class got a good relationship with the chief, remember we're talking about over communicating. If I'm communicating with my chief and I'm saying, hey, chief, this guy has this personal issue going on. This young lady has this personal issue going on. This guy has this professional thing going on. I'm working on this with this guy. I'm working on this. By the way, we have this going on down in the space with this piece of equipment. We got a job in for this. We got. If I'm over communicating all this stuff to my chief, there's no reason for my chief to be in the space. The only thing my chief really need to do for me at that point is be that extra power when I need it, when I can't. Like when you said, Damo, we can't go ask things of the department
Mm-hmm.
head and the CMC and the captain and all that. When I really need the big guns to go in there and make something happen for my guys or for myself, my chief should be able to go in there and do that and do it confidently because he knows what's going on with my guys. Because he knows he can trust me to communicate with him.
Mm-hmm.
And when I need him to be down there on the deck place with me, he's down there. And I've seen some of it. I've seen some of it in this new era, but not as much as probably what it was back in the day. So to answer your question, where do I think it stopped? Probably '07, '08. Why do I think it stopped? Because we were promoting too fast. Guys had not been battled. I can give you an example of a guy I know who in 10 years jumped up to chief as an engineman, only been one sea tour on a carrier before he got to the pre-com. When he got to the pre-com as an engineman, spent no more than probably about 6 months in M division before he mess deck master at arm, came out of mess deck master at arm, went to A gang as an LPO with no A gang experience. But this guy is sailor of the year. This guy is now they send him to the foundry court. They're building this guy up. And now when we make this guy a chief, we're expecting this guy to lead.
Mm-hmm.
But where is that battle testing? In your
Yeah,
community. In the
yeah.
platform
I
of your
don't.
community of all places. So that's just my 2 cents on it. I hope I answered your question. I don't know
Yeah,
if I did or not, but
No, you did. I
yeah,
just took a note because I know Damon got something to say, but I got something to say.
yeah, yeah. Well, to that point, Od is that first class you got it as 10-year chief or whatever the case may be. I don't blame him.
you
You know what I'm
know,
saying? I most definitely blame people that's ahead of him, people who's writing his evals, people who's doing all these things to put him in that line, knowing he wasn't battle tested as we speaking about. Um, but it's not only first class not battle tested, man. It's Chiefs not battle tested too. Believe
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
I'm
that's what
telling
he.
you.
Yeah,
Trust me
that's
and
what he
believe
said.
me. It's some Chiefs not battle tested out there. Making rank, promotion fast, and all that type of stuff. Now, when it comes to the deck plate leadership, yeah, that came out a while. They want the Chiefs to be more involved and all that type of stuff. But that came around, man, when we started doing stuff to make chief, right? And then you brought up a point, collateral duties, man. Like now your job is damn near below 50%
Mm-hmm.
that you need to know. Now it's more about those collateral duties and these other things that you have to do, and your job is not important. But my point that I try to make to my first class as DC and HTs and all these guys is that young sailors follow knowledge, right? They will go, if you know what you're talking about, if you know how you can help their career, they will follow you. They'll run through brick walls for you and stuff, right? But if you're not knowledgeable, those sailors will point that shit out so freaking fast. And then I will have my E5 knocking on my door, talking to me, trying to give me information. And I know the first thing I'm going to say, do DC1 know this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But DC1 or HT1, whoever probably already lost their respect. You know what I mean? So I try to talk to them like that and let them know, hey, you have to know this stuff. But also it comes from the big wigs up, putting these collateral duties more in the forefront. You know what I mean? Making these ladders, you know what I mean? Saying you need all these check marks, right? And then people don't know their damn job, right? Then you have all the old school people like these LDOs and all these guys. I don't give a fuck about collateral duties. But guess what? In today's Navy, if you don't give a fuck about these collateral duties, you'll be a first class a little bit longer.
Yeah.
You may be the most knowledgeable person in the building, but you'll probably be the first class for a long time, right? So you have to know how to adjust and know how to adapt and all that type of stuff. But I think we are trying to shade back a little bit towards your knowing your rate, though. I feel like people are talking about it a whole lot more than we used to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's coming back, man. But you were right, man. We got 6-year Chiefs out here. We got guys that have no like, and then this is what kills me, man, about the whole thing is like you could be an E3 for your first ship, right? You transfer, you make E5, you transfer to shore duty. A lot of time when you E5 you transfer, you may not have been the works in the soup yet,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
No doubt
Then
about
you
that.
go to shore duty, pick up furs. Now you back on the ship as the LPO
Yeah,
in the division. No work center soup experience. No, and you know, in our race being engineers, you gotta know skid. You
yeah,
gotta know how to write jobs. You gotta know all this stuff. And you go back to the ship and don't have a clue. Now you done lost respect of your junior guys because your firemen probably out there writing jobs. Your firemen probably know skid and all this type of stuff. So now you done lost their respect. So it's a big deal, man. It's a big time deal. But that's why the Chiefs are going back to the deck place because guess what? The captain only want results.
Yep.
Your chief engineer only want results. He don't care how he get them, right? He don't care if you down there. He don't care if I'm down there doing the maintenance, as long as the maintenance is done,
And see,
right?
Damon,
That's kind of
and Damon, I don't
uh,
want to cut you off, but that's exactly my point. That was my point to why I believe we're seeing a lot of Chiefs going back to the deck plate. Look, you guys are not gonna go in a in a meeting with the captain. You guys are not gonna go, you know what I'm saying, meeting with the department head, and they get to asking y'all questions, and y'all don't know what the hell going on because
yeah,
y'all ain't been. So what do you have to do now? You have to be there. You have to make. Okay, I've never really managed scared before. I'm a chief. I've never really managed scared before. Let me go down here and take a look at this work center. Let me see how this
yeah,
work center actually is supposed to be ran.
yeah,
Oh no, no,
yeah.
no, EN1, no, we gonna do this. Chief, I don't think it's a no, no, no. We are going to do this. All
yeah,
right, Chief, that's
Yeah,
and it goes back to what I was saying earlier about that balancing act when Damo was asking about
the
the
dumbing it
whole
down.
aspect of outshining the master.
Hmm.
yeah,
You have to play that delicate game to where, yeah, I probably know a little bit more about what's going on and what this guy do. But again, this guy writes my eval, or not write them,
yeah,
but
yeah,
he's gonna edit my eval.
Yeah,
This is the guy that's gonna make the suggestion whether I deserve a nomination for a Sailor of the Quarter or not. This is the guy that's gonna submit the award, or at least if I submit my own award, he's the one that's gonna have some kind of input on whether I deserve to get it or not. You see what I'm saying? So I'm hoping that we're going back to kind of a little bit of the old school way to where a lot of the accountability of the deck plate is put on. But and this is my other piece to that. Because the Chiefs are having to come back to the deck plates, and I don't want to make this look like I'm bagging on Chiefs, which is why I have to say this. It's watering us down as first classes too. First classes are not performing the way first classes should be performing. And I'm not using that as a blanket statement to my peers in no way, because I know a lot of great first classes that's really putting it in and really busting their ass and doing what they got to do. And they are making some incredible junior sailors into senior sailors, you know what I mean? But there are a lot of us out there that are not really performing the way we should. You
yeah.
see what
yeah.
I'm saying?
So,
I agree.
so
Go
the
ahead.
point that y'all both made that I don't want to get too far away from. I'm gonna make a point. I believe that Chiefs, they tell us to um, cling, be they always push it like, yeah, your divo should be attached to your hip when your divo first support and keep your divo around and stuff like that. And I just want to make the point that like Chiefs are making sure that whenever we are able to, that we defer our divo to our first classes, our second classes, right? And I say that for a reason, right? I say that because we always say this, like the way, and I believe in that purity shit. I do. I believe that, like, you're your Divo's first impression, meaning that your Divo, when they become a captain, they gonna remember that experience, right? And they usually talk to us about that when it come to like setting a good impression on your Divo, so they don't think Chiefs are bad or enlisted sellers are bad. So when they become a captain, they could be a good captain. But think about this. If I'm a chief and I introduce my Divo to my division, and my Divo is only always around me, and my Divo only connects subject matter with me, work ethic with me, being able to step up in times of hard time with me. When that Divo moves on and becomes a captain, when the going gets rough, who the Divo gonna think to call? The Divo gonna think to call the chief. Well, who that captain gonna think to call at that point? A chief. Like, well, when I was running in divisions, it was the Chiefs that was the ones that was the go-to guys when it counted. So whenever we can, I believe we should defer our divos to our first classes. And if we're not doing that, make sure that the first class is being able to get a divo training and being able to kind of teach the divo stuff and stuff like that, as while the divos still remain in that authority in that division, because that's what the division officer is there for.
Hey, I wanna add a couple things. Hey, for Chris, man, that communication piece that you talked about earlier, man, I wish all my first classes had that shit. First off,
Yeah.
I want to say that, man. That's how you want to lay it down. But that's how you get back to it, though, right? And I'm gonna say this, man, is levels to this shit, right?
Yeah.
Right. When I say this, I'm gonna say it like this: if my first class or whoever I got working working the guys and giving me this information, communicating with me, if they can't do it correctly, right? Because I'm always gonna have to report to somebody or update somebody on something. So if I'm not getting that communication, what's gonna happen is, and I have done this before, where before I go to quarters, I have had my first class in the office. We talked about what we're gonna do today. I have had at 11 o'clock, we're gonna muster. I'm gonna have my first class come talk to me until I know what's going on. And then before they get off, they're gonna come talk to me and find out what's going on before we leave for the day. That's what I mean by levels. Now, if I'm confident in my guy, he ain't got to worry about that. He's just gonna keep me informed. He's gonna stop by anytime and do his thing, right? That's what I mean by levels. So it's levels for me. If you don't do it, this is how we gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you do it, you good to go, right? But I will never take the legs under my first class. I want them to be great, man. I wanna, to do all, to do all, right? But I'm gonna help them too, though. You know what I mean? I'm gonna help these guys get to this level because everybody don't have the same background. And what Damo said earlier that I learned later in my career, everybody is not me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that is so, and look, I learned that late as hell in my career because I used to always say, when I was a first class, I did it like this. I used to tell my other first classes this, right? And then one day, my first class, one of my guys said something to me one day, and he didn't say I'm not you. He didn't say none of that to that effect, but it made me think about that though.
Yeah.
Like, you know what, man? Like these guys are, different from I am. They and not saying that's a bad thing. They just got new ways of doing things.
Yeah.
The way I do things is not gonna be the way. As long as we get the same goal, we good to go. But
Can
Chris, I want to just
I,
want to step on that a little bit more, man, about that communication piece, man. I think that's the biggest disconnect between everything, is that communication piece where I don't have to come to the deck place as much.
and let,
The only thing I want to really come to deck plates for is to learn to know my sailors and let them know I got their back, having good conversations about what you do last night or what you doing this weekend and all this type of stuff. You know what I mean? That's the type of stuff I want to come down into the deck place and talk about in training. Right? We have any kind of train, man. I love that. We got training set up. You get me down there in the room with them, and I love talking about stuff like that and leadership stuff like that. But the technical stuff, I expect the first class to run with that shit.